I'm Michael Seitz, joined by my co-host Alberto Calderon, and you are watching, not listening to, watching Cal and Seitz. Here it's our first YouTube video, brand new channel. We usually broadcast on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz at St. Bonaventure. Obviously, we're not there right now. COVID, winter break, you have it. Our gist of our show, we're just going to talk sports for 45 minutes at a time. We're going to try for Tuesdays and Fridays for videos. Tuesday's going to be more of a recap show. Friday's going to be more of a preview, especially during football season, is what we're going to try for. So let's get to it. We're going to start with college football. The new rankings came out literally 20 minutes before this recording started. The top 6 stayed the same. Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Florida. Top 7, actually, Cincinnati is still there. Do you agree with those 7 rankings, Alberto?
I do, and you can't really change them. Maybe you could have changed Ohio State because they didn't play, but you just got to keep them the same. And I like where Texas A&M and Florida are at right now, the first 2 out, and Texas A&M holds the head-to-head advantage over Florida. And I was actually listening to the reveal show, and they were actually talking about Michigan opting out of playing Ohio State, so Ohio State cannot reach the minimum amount of games to reach the playoff.
That's taking strategy to the next level right there. Strategy to the next level.
Herb Street and Reese Davis were talking about Michigan, opting out, 1, for not getting beat, again, and 2, not letting their rivals make it to the playoff. I mean, I don't know if they would do that.
Harbaugh can't beat Ohio State. That's the problem.
That's one of the problems. But, I mean, the bigger problem is I don't think they want to see Ohio State in the playoff.
And as much as I don't like Ohio State myself, that's not right. That's not right.
It's not. No, it's not. That's not sport ethical at all.
No, that shouldn't be allowed. They should have somebody else play Ohio State if that's the case.
I mean, if Ohio State has a week, they should probably just find a game where they could just fill in. I don't think that's possible anymore.
The Pac-12's looking. The Pac-12's looking.
The Pac-12 is, because it's basically all but over now for the Pac-12 since Oregon lost.
The Pac-12 is done. Oregon is done. They're down to 23. Washington and USC both higher than Oregon now. USC at 20, Washington at 22, and Oregon at 23. Marshall sandwiched between them at 21. So let me ask you this. Overrated, underrated, or just right for those 3 teams?
I think, despite the Oregon loss, I still think they're better than USC and Washington. Even if Oregon did beat Oregon State, there wasn't a real shot of getting into the playoff. They started out at 12 or something?
Yes,
the initial
12,
rankings?
12 and 11, and then they were 15 last week after the first college
football. 12 and 15, and then only playing 6 games, regardless if they won out. They're not better than the top 4. They're not better than the top, I'd say 10 teams in the nation right now.
No.
Nowhere near, and I'm sure you can agree.
But I think the problem with this year is that it's shallow. The group of good elite teams is shallower than normal this year. I don't know if it's just a COVID year. I don't know if it's opt-outs. It just seems like there's a almost really crystal clear cutoff after maybe Georgia, the top 8.
And I would go as far as saying, there's a cutoff after Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and then there's a big dip to Ohio State.
Really? Interesting.
I would actually say that because
Well, I'm a big BYU supporter this year. I want to see them make noise. I want to see them get a big bowl. They're at 13.
They will.
They're at 13. They moved up 1 spot without playing last week. They've got to get a game scheduled in the Pac-12. They've got to, right?
Yeah, they should.
The Pac-12's looking for out-of-conference games. Under the Pac-12's rules, though, the opponent has to come to the Pac-12 team stadium. The game is broadcast on Pac-12 TV only, so any other national television is out. It's on Pac-12 TV. And then there are a couple other rules. It's all Pac-12 officials. They're obviously stacking the board here for what you would have thought it was in Oregon. But now that they're 23, does BYU go back to the Washington thing and try and get back to near Seattle?
But didn't they originally have Washington as planned to start the season? and then they got,
I'm not sure about that, but
or
I
was it
know that
Oregon?
no, it was not Oregon. I think it was Washington. I know that BYU and Washington were in talks recently to go
Hmm.
do the game, but BYU said no. People thought they were holding out to Oregon, and there was a Washington issue. It was a mess. So
I mean, honestly, at this point right now, you could either go to all three of them, USC, Oregon, or Washington, and it'll benefit if they go away and they get an away win.
100%, just like at Boise State, who was ranked when they played them.
Exactly. And I mean, that feels like such a long time ago. It was like a month ago.
They beat the crap out of them. The BYU margin of victory, average margin of victory, is ridiculous. It's in the 30s, I believe. Like it is
Yeah, they beat them.
absolutely
They beat them
crazy.
like 50-17, something like that.
Oh, yeah, they've only won one possession game, and I think it was like Northwestern Arkansas or something, Central Arkansas or something. I don't remember
I couldn't even tell
who
you. But
exactly it was. It was a
yeah.
27-20 final, I believe. It was UTSA.
Oh,
So
UTSA. Okay. I
other
mean,
than that, they've blown everybody else out. So
this should have been the week because I'm looking at the schedule right now, and they play San Diego State the following week, December 12th. So this should have been the weekend where they could have scheduled a Pac-12 team. I mean, I don't know if any Pac-12 team has, the availability for a game this weekend, but I'm sure they're in talks. But
I would hope so. I'm rooting for either BYU or Cincinnati to be able to either weasel their way into the top four or something to happen.
I
But
mean, Cincinnati obviously has the better chance right now.
yeah, I think so too. It helps that Cincinnati. I mean, they did play SMU, whose resume itself got hurt with their loss last weekend.
Yeah,
But they get Tulsa the last game of the year at number 24 currently Tulsa, and then they'll more than likely play Tulsa the next week in the is it American
yeah,
Championship,
the
the
AAC, yeah,
AAC. So for Cincinnati's sake, they want Tulsa to keep winning and SMU to keep winning, and then
yeah.
if you beat Tulsa handily twice with some help up top, it's a long shot, but and the thing that could really throw the wrench in everything, which I don't see happening, but if Florida takes down Alabama in the SEC championship game, it's going to get really ugly really fast up at the top.
I mean, but hey, I mean, if Florida beats Alabama, you cannot leave out Florida. You can't.
No, you can't. And
Especially if you're gonna put Cincinnati in over Florida, you just can't do that. That's just
yeah, exactly. And that's the question. So let's say last point before we move to the NFL, if Florida beats Alabama in the SEC championship game,
yes.
and Clemson beats Notre Dame in the SEC championship game,
Yep.
and you've got four teams sitting at what 10-1 or 9-1, Ohio State's out in my opinion.
I would say so. So you're saying if Florida beats Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
that bumps out Alabama, I think.
You think
And
that
if
bumps out
Clem,
Alabama?
I think it does bump out Alabama. And then if
Hmm.
Notre Dame beats Clemson again,
What
that
if
automatically.
Clemson? Well, what if Clemson beats Notre Dame?
Oh, they're both in if Clemson beats Notre Dame.
So do you see a possibility where we could have four one-loss teams in the playoff and an undefeated Ohio State not getting in?
I can
'Cause
see
I
it,
think
but
it's
who?
I think it's a
But
real
who would?
possibility.
So you're saying that if Florida beats Alabama, and
They'd
if
each have
Clemson
one
beats
loss,
and
and
Clemson beats Notre Dame, you
they'd
put
each have
those
one
same four
loss.
teams in.
Correct. Those four would go in.
Okay.
Then you would have you would have Clemson 1, Florida 2, Notre Dame 3, Alabama 4, because you don't want those rematches right away.
No, you don't.
So you would have an SEC play an ACC in both semifinals, and then the two winners play in the final. I could
You know,
definitely see that happening.
I'd be in favor of that, but the only thing I disagree with you on is, if Florida beats Alabama, I'd bump out Alabama, put in Florida, obviously, and then probably Texas A&M, benefiting from not playing.
I was going to say Texas A&M beat Florida earlier this year, but they got
Exactly.
killed by Alabama. So if Texas A&M keeps the Alabama game closer, then there's a real big problem there.
Exactly.
So
I mean, I'm just so intrigued by the Notre Dame Clemson and the Florida Alabama game coming up in a couple of weeks. I mean, they're all on collision courses to play each other, but I would like that. I like that idea. If Florida beats Alabama and if Clemson beats Notre Dame, it's kind of hard to not put those same four teams back in.
Yeah, Correct. I agree.
I actually like that, Mike. I
And
actually
this is
like
why
that.
we need an expanded playoff for college. We've talked about this before. I'm sure we'll talk about it again. One more note before moving on to the NFL. College game day is going to Coastal Carolina for the first time ever. The 9-1 Liberty Flames at the 9-0 Coastal Carolina Chanticleers,
That's not
number
bad.
18 in the nation. All right, let's move
I
on.
like that.
NFL time. Oh boy, do I have a bone to pick with Roger Goodell. Oh man, the Baltimore Ravens are finally on the plane to Pittsburgh as we speak right now. They're finally on the plane to Pittsburgh.
They're in the
Okay,
air right now.
they're in the air. They finally left. The NFL handled this horribly. Absolutely atrocious work.
I mean, first you have to condemn Baltimore.
Oh, I'll get there. So
Okay.
the
Okay.
strength coach, Baltimore Ravens strength coach. I don't have
Okay.
a
There we
name.
go.
Not going to call him by name, but the Baltimore Ravens strength coach broke NFL and team protocol. He
Hmm.
went out, did something. I don't know what it was. He gets COVID. Bunch of other players obviously get COVID from him. This is where the initial outbreak started.
Yep.
The NFL did not punish this strength coach at all. The NFL has not punished the Baltimore Ravens at all. The NFL has helped the Baltimore Ravens get into the playoffs with this. The Baltimore Ravens and Harbaugh have been pushing for Week 18 since they went to 6-3. Not 6-4, since they lost to the Steelers the first time. What was that, 5-3 or 6-3, something like that? Since
Yeah.
they
6-3.
since they lost to the Steelers the first time, they've been pushing for this Week 18. And if they can get to this magical Week 18, that automatically triggers a 16-team, 8 in each conference team playoff. It's at 7 right now in each conference, a 14-team. The Ravens, in almost every realistic scenario I've done, have ended up as the number 8 seed in the AFC. This is not a coincidence by any stretch of the imagination that the Ravens are trying to drag this out as long as possible. And you can look at other factors too. I understand that the initial pushback from Thursday. That is completely understandable. There's an outbreak. You have to get it under control. I get it. The pushback from Sunday to Tuesday, I was a little annoyed, but once again, there's still technically an outbreak going on within the Ravens organization. It's fine. But the pushback from today to Wednesday, that is asinine. It is absolutely ridiculous. There were no new positive tests. 0 in the Baltimore Ravens players. 0 Ravens tested positive yesterday. 0 Ravens tested
And
positive
today.
Okay? And the reason that players didn't want to play this evening, Tuesday, because they were afraid of getting COVID. Okay. It's not magic that this fear of COVID just popped up overnight for these, handful of Ravens players.
Yeah.
It obviously is premeditated by the ringleader Harbaugh. If I didn't hate the Baltimore Ravens already, I hate them now. The Steelers are going to come out and beat the hell out of the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow afternoon at 3:40, which that's a whole nother issue why they're playing at 3:40 because NBC doesn't want to move their Christmas special. It is absolutely ridiculous. The Steelers are going to win by 40. They're going to be pissed off.
Oh.
Watch out. Alberto, what are your thoughts on this whole just mess?
Well, first I want to address. You said the Week 18. What is this Week 18 going to be used for? As like a fill-in date?
It's a last case scenario, worst case scenario week where if something like this happens and let's say the Steeler-Raven game gets magically postponed tomorrow, they would play at Week 18. And that Week 18 would be meaning pushing back the start of the playoffs by 1 week. And you would play any game that cannot be played already in the Week 18.
Yeah.
So that week, you would have supposedly Steelers-Ravens if they get canceled. Everything gets pushed back, and then that week off in between the championship and the Super Bowl, you would play the AFC and NFC championship that week.
And only 1 week off for the Super Bowl.
It would be a normal week.
Just a normal. Oh yeah, just a normal. Yeah, no
bye
bye
between the
bye,
NFC AFC championship game.
Okay.
And the Super Bowl. That is a last case scenario.
Yeah,
that should. Yeah, said this before, but like I said, if Week 18 actually happens, it automatically triggers an extra team from each conference, which makes 0 sense to me. 0 sense to me. Why an extra team from each conference would get in the playoff if that happened?
Yeah.
So,
No, you're right. I mean, and yeah, that should only be used as a last case scenario, that week 18, because you don't want to mess up the playoff dates. You don't want to mess up the path to the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And
Absolutely.
especially you don't want to allow an eighth team in the playoffs. I mean, that's so un-NFL like.
The
I
new
mean,
7 team in each conference playoff is already controversial enough. I mean, I like it personally, but
yeah.
I've spoken to plenty of people who hate it. So
No,
adding another
I mean,
team, that's whoa.
yeah. I mean, we're definitely I'm a little bit in favor of it right now, but we're definitely gonna see how it pans out this year, especially this year. You got the AFC, which is really good.
The AFC is
But then
loaded.
I mean, you got the AFC, who's really good, and then you got the NFC, who's not as good as the AFC. But I'm interested to see how this 17 format plays out this year. So we'll
Absolutely.
see. And and turning to Baltimore now, um, I don't know. They're just. Do you think the NFL actually is considering this week 18 scenario solely for Baltimore Ravens?
I kind of think they are. I mean, that obviously might be my bias as a Steeler fan here, but the NFL wants Lamar Jackson in this game against
Mm-hmm.
the Steelers. The NFL wants Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. The
Yeah.
NFL wants upsets of undefeated teams. They don't want teams to go undefeated in the league unless you have Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, or Patrick Mahomes.
Or Aaron Rodgers.
Mm, mm.
Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees.
So before we move on,
Wait,
what?
no, you're right. You're right though. Lamar Jackson is Goodell's little baby. He
Yeah.
definitely wants to. He's gonna nurse him through the regular season.
And one more thing with this is they get Dobbins, Ingram, and 3 defensive starters back because the game is pushed back 2 days. Also, the governor of Pennsylvania is not allowing fans at this game now because it's December. Another thing.
So there's a new
COVID ordinance that says no fans at sporting events in the state of Pennsylvania for December.
Oh, really?
It's another motive for the Ravens to want this pushed back. They don't have 7,500 to 12,000 angry Steeler fans yelling at them when they're on the field.
Yeah. And that's interesting. Do the Bills come to Pittsburgh later on this year?
No,
Or is it no? It's
that's
in Buffalo.
in Buffalo, but that's another
Okay.
thing. The Steelers now have to play 3 games in 12 days.
Oh man.
So they have to play the Ravens Wednesday,
Washington on Tuesday.
Washington on Tuesday or on Monday. Washington on Monday. The Ravens got
Baltimore-
their game
Baltimore-
put to Tuesday, but
What
the
sense does that
Steelers
make?
didn't. Steelers once again being punished for something they didn't do, and then the Bills the next Sunday night.
Sunday night.
So it's
That's
crazy.
gonna be a tough stretch. No NFL team has ever done that before. 3 games in 12 days.
And before we pick the game, which we already know my pick, but before we pick the game, I'm just saying a tweet. Somebody close to the Ravens said that players are still deliberating on whether or not they want to play the game tomorrow as they're on the flight. They don't want to play the Steelers.
If they don't want to play them, they can just forfeit then.
It's in the NFL rulebook. If you can't make a game or if you don't want to play a game, you can forfeit. It's that easy.
The forfeit.
It's that easy.
If they don't want to play, if they don't want to play, just forfeit the game and give the Steelers the win.
It's awful.
But if I'm Baltimore and I think right now Baltimore is outside looking in, and aren't they in the hunt? They're not in the playoffs right now.
Correct.
So
the Browns are 8-3.
So why do they not want to play this game if they're not currently in the playoffs and they're gonna fall to 6-5?
Well, it's not that they don't want to play and forfeit. They don't want to play because they're missing Lamar Jackson and a couple other key players. And
It's
also,
still better than
this throws the Pittsburgh Steelers off. This throws all their mojo off. So
it. I mean, but you still want to go out there and at least play the game instead of getting the loss like that in an instant.
It's all Harbaugh's plan, and it's working to perfection. He has the NFL right here in the palm of his hand. Who's your pick in this game? Steelers are 10-point favorites.
Oh, Steelers. Oh, man. They're 10-point favorites. I think they'll cover that. I think the Steelers are going to win this game 31. RG3 starting?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Steelers
are going to win this.
It shouldn't really matter.
No, I think it's Benny Snell, right? What's his name?
Snell and
Yeah.
McFarland Jr. So.
Okay. Steelers should be able to cover that. They should win 31-10, 34-10. It should be an easy.
The Steelers
It
defense is
should,
going to come
yeah.
out pissed off. They might not allow a point. I'm not like on
I
our
wouldn't be
show
surprised.
on our radio show at Bonaventure. Whenever the Steelers played the Titans, the Browns, and the Ravens, I picked against the Steelers all 3 times because I am that superstitious. The Steelers are going to kill them. They're going to kill them.
And because you said that, Baltimore is going to deliver an upset.
I swear, Alberto. I swear. All right, we'll move on real quick. I believe we're actually running low on time here. What we said, 25 minutes so far. So
I don't even know. I'm just enjoying it.
Another 15, 20.
I'm enjoying it.
So we're going to go real quick. What happened last night across the state from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia that sent bettors across the country into shock. The Philadelphia
Including
Eagles
yourself.
went for 2. The Philadelphia Eagles went for 2. Why did they go for 2? I don't know.
There's only one.
You have an answer?
Yeah, there's only one plausible explanation, and it's Doug Peterson and his obvious, he knew the spread. There's no other way. He obviously point shaved. He obviously, either he had money in the game, which I highly doubt, or he knew someone who had money on this game. Yeah. It's a Pete Rose incident, honestly.
NFL's got to look into this. The NFL has to look into this.
And you remember we were on FaceTime last night, and they should. And there's clear point shaving happening here. There's no logical reason to go for 2 if you kick the extra point and you're going to be down by 7.
No sense.
There's no other reason to, and there's only one plausible explanation for this, and it's Doug Peterson knowing the spread.
It's really bad. It's really bad. Like, really, really bad. I still can't come to grips with what happened. It's that bad.
And I honestly think Goodell and the NFL should look into that because, that's not good.
No, it's not.
That's really not good.
So Seattle gets the win, though, in the end by 6, unfortunately.
Not covering.
What are they, 8-3 now? 7-3, 8-3?
8-3, probably one of the worst 8-3 teams we've seen in a while. Maybe the Pats from last year.
The Packers last year were not a good 13-3 team, so.
The Patriots and the Packers last year.
Yeah, but the Seattle defense, I still have no faith in at all. The Eagles' offense is just so bad, so that you can't look at it there. So.
The Eagles' offense made the Seattle defense look like Legion of Boom last night. They legitimately did, and that's not
so bad.
That's not good. We're going to talk about that later. But.
If we have time, we'll talk about that. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll move on quick. Let's go through these 4 games. Tennessee beat the crap out of Indy. Oh, my goodness. That was ugly. Derrick Henry, it was what, November 27th, 8th, 9th, whatever it was? That's Derrick Henry time. Once Thanksgiving hits, it's Derrick Henry time, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And he put up, 38 fantasy points? Scored like 4 times.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. They won 45-26 against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Exactly.
I don't know if I'm scared of either of these teams as somebody looking from the outside, but they can make a run. But I don't trust them all the way. What do you think about this?
You're definitely right. And if I'm a Steeler fan, if I'm a Chiefs fan, more so a Chiefs fan, and I have to play Tennessee in the playoffs, I'm scared.
You're scared.
And I'm scared if I'm a Chiefs fan because, the weather gets cold and Tennessee is just going to resort to running the ball with Derrick Henry. And there's no way that the Chiefs defense can stop him. The only defense I think can stop him is the Pittsburgh defense. But look what they did to Indianapolis this weekend.
Rough. I mean, they were missing Buckner, but still.
They were missing DeForest, but the way that they did in the first half, only 2. Derrick Henry had 3 touchdowns and 140 yards. I mean, they easily could have pushed them to the absolute limit and put up 50 on these guys, maybe even 60 if they wanted to.
Absolutely, but there's no reason to do that. So
no reason. There's no reason to. But if you're the Chiefs and you have to play Tennessee like they did, it would be a rematch of the AFC Championship game, and they have to play the Titans. They have to face Tannehill.
And the Chiefs are not a 9-1 team either. This is a discussion for another day. The Chiefs are not a 9-1 team. They're very good. They're not 9-1. Just how the Steelers are not a 10-0 team.
Yeah.
Either. But
exactly. That's just the way the NFL works.
Yep. So,
Yeah, if
but
you're the Chiefs and you have to face Henry, I mean, I feel like the only reason Kansas City would win that game is because it'd be at Arrowhead
okay.
and not
I
not in Tennessee.
So, from a Steelers point of view, I'm not concerned with the Titans or Colts blowing me off the face of the earth. I would be
Okay.
concerned about a bad weather game, especially with the
Mm-hmm.
Titans. I'm
Yep.
not really concerned about the Colts at all
Mm-mm.
necessarily. They have had those games, but they're defensively reliant. I don't think Philip Rivers
Yeah, I
got it
agree.
anymore. And I haven't seen
No.
what I wanted to out of their backs this year, especially Taylor. I think the Titans are still going to win this division, but I don't think either one is a serious threat. I would probably put them 4-5 in the AFC right now.
Okay,
In
I agree.
whatever
And
order.
I like that Rivers take. Rivers has never been that good in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's been there. I mean, he has a Hall of Fame career. I mean, it's kind of hard to put him in because he doesn't have. He's never reached an AFC Championship game. Let alone a Super Bowl.
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer in my opinion, but like he doesn't
I
have
don't
that
trust him.
experience in the playoffs. So
No, he's never won that big game.
yeah,
So
yeah. All right, we'll move on to San Francisco and the Rams. Niners 23-20 victors in this one. I cannot figure out the Los Angeles Rams. I've spent 12 weeks trying to figure out the Rams. I can't. I don't know what they are. What are they, Alberto? Are they good, bad, in the middle?
I prior to this game against San Francisco, I thought the Rams, were legitimate contenders for
And they looked
for the
like it.
NFC West crown, and they look like it. Especially when they beat Seattle, right? They beat
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay, which we don't know who they are either.
I don't like Tampa.
But then they lay not a stinker versus San Francisco, but it's kind of a stinker. They were home.
I mean, their defense was the only reason they were in the game to start with.
And they had the scoop and score
Mm-hmm.
that gave them the lead, or close to it, or I don't even know what happened there.
It made it 17-13 San Fran, and then Cam Akers ripped off the 60-something, 70-something yard run to get them into the
Yeah,
three. So
and he punched it in
without the scoop and score, and
in the
without the
big
big
play.
Cam Akers run, they probably score 6 points in this game.
And against a depleted San Francisco defense.
Who I don't think is that good anyway.
No, I mean if they have everyone, they're a solid team.
I
Especially a
mean,
solid defense.
I
I mean, the
don't think
front four.
I think San Francisco's the third best team in that division when healthy.
I mean
I
that.
think
Yeah, I
I
mean
think
that
Seattle and
division is
Arizona
stacked.
are better than these two teams. And I think
Yeah,
San Fran when healthy is better than LA.
really.
Oh yeah, I had the Rams missing the playoffs by a lot in the preseason. I had the Rams fourth in this division preseason. And
Oh
I
yeah,
stand
I mean
if
yeah.
all teams are healthy in a perfect world, which obviously we're definitely not living in, the Rams are an 8-8 team at best. But they've played a little bit over their heads, especially the defense this year. So
Yeah.
but I'm not sold on either of these teams still. I mean, the Rams at the Cardinals on Sunday should be a very good game. Should tell
Oh,
us a
that's a
lot
great
about
matchup.
both teams. This is their first of two matchups the last 5 weeks. They play week 17 also in LA. So should be
That's a big game.
interesting. Should be
That's a big
interesting.
game.
So but San
You said it's at there.
Francisco on the other
Okay.
end,
Yeah.
they're playing in Arizona the next 2 weeks at home because Santa Clara County banned contact sports for the next 3 weeks.
And who do they play in those two games?
Buffalo and Washington.
I mean, they should go 1-1 in those games.
Should. Washington's got something cooking.
They do, and Buffalo's good as much as I hate to say it.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about these games on Friday also, the preview games. So
That's right.
final game we're going to recap here is Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards in the first quarter. It was over. 27-24 is not what this game score does not reflect the game.
No.
Brady stinks. He's not good. Tampa's not good. I've been saying this for 5 months now. Tampa Bay is not a Super Bowl contender, nor will they ever will be. The secondary stinks. The O-line stinks. Brady can't throw a pass over 20 yards. So, what do you got?
Especially that last point. Brady can't throw a ball more than maybe 15 yards. I'll give you that. You know, this game was over in the first quarter. It was 17-0. And Kansas City was driving down the field, going up or trying to make it 24-0, but they had a turnover, right?
I believe so. That they stopped trying.
They probably did.
They stopped
probably
trying.
did. I think they honestly did.
It was very ugly.
It's not the best win for Kansas City because they're playing, Tampa Bay team who's not the best, who's very streaky, who played a terrible defense. But if I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, am I concerned with the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yes and no. I think that the Steelers can beat them. Absolutely. I think the front four, front five, whatever you want to call it, is good enough to contain Mahomes. If you keep him in the pocket, you're going to have success. I don't know what Andy Reid would scheme up with Edwards-Helaire and Bell.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be a great game, but I think that the lack of Kansas City defense would come back and bite them. I think it'd be actually a pretty high-scoring game. I think it'd be in the 30s.
Oh, really? Especially with the Pittsburgh
defense.
The
Steeler defense, I think the game would probably be in the 30s, especially with that secondary that has been iffy this year. So
let's say Pittsburgh loses a game. Let's say Kansas City and Pittsburgh both finish 15-1.
Kansas City is the one.
Okay. Even if Pittsburgh has a tiebreaker and they play at Heinz Field.
If they play it, I don't know if place is going to matter. Honestly.
Really?
I don't know if location is going to matter. But, if both teams go 15-1, so that means a win out by Kansas City, and the Steelers, let's say they lose, their most losable game is at Buffalo, so let's say they lose that one.
Okay.
Kansas City is the tiebreaker on strength of schedule or strength of victory or something along those lines. It's like the third tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So I don't really think it matters. I think it matters more that you get that first week off. So.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
Right now, as the NFL stands, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers in the number 1 seed, obviously. Mm-hmm. Kansas City is number 2. Tennessee is 3. Buffalo is 4. The Cleveland Browns are 5. The Dolphins are 6. And the Colts are 7. Outside looking in, Baltimore at 6-4. Vegas at 6-5. And New England, if you really want to throw them in there, at 5-6.
Throw them in there.
In the NFC, the quarterbackless New Orleans Saints, and yes, I said that. Taysom Hill is not a quarterback. 9-2 in the 1 seed. Seattle's 8-3 in the 2. Green Bay is 8-3 in the 3. Who I think Green Bay is the best team in the NFC. The Giants are 4-7 right now in the 4. The Rams are 7-4. The Bucs are 7-5. And the Cardinals are 6-5. Vikings at 5-6. Somehow the Bears are at 5-6. And the Niners are at 5-6, all in the hunt. So let's look at the NFC East very quickly here. You've got the 4-7 Giants, the 4-7 football team, the 3-7-1 Eagles, and the 3-8 Cowboys. That's not the biggest dumpster fire I've ever seen. I don't know what is. Who's winning this division?
Straight up answer right now.
Right now.
Washington.
All right, I'm rooting for the football team. But
I think because if Daniel Jones didn't get injured at the end of that game against Cincinnati this past weekend, I would have to pick the Giants. But he's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. Who knows what the Giants are without him? Well, I'll tell you right now, they suck without him.
They suck in general.
They suck with him. But what I saw from Washington this past weekend or past, Thanksgiving against Dallas, they've won 2 straight. Their run game is unbelievable with McKissick and
Gibson.
What's his name? And Antonio Gibson. I don't see how Washington can't win this division. I'm going to pull up their schedule real quick. They just beat Dallas. They have to play Pittsburgh. That's a loss.
You would think, but who knows at this point?
I mean that game against Philly, Week 17, is probably for the division.
I disagree.
I With that game or the winner of the NFC East.
I mean, maybe both. I'm not really sure. Like, I don't think the Eagles are going to be in contention that last week. Their schedule is brutal. The Philadelphia Eagles remaining schedule at Green Bay, hosting New Orleans, at Arizona. Because they're going to be 3-10-1. They're going to be three.
I mean,
And then
Washington's probably going to be
at the
Washington's probably going to be
Cowboys,
4-10.
and then hosting Washington. They're out. Dallas does have an easy schedule, but they're not going to beat Baltimore. At Cincy, that might be a win. Might be a win. Hosting the Niners, they're not winning that.
No.
Hosting the Eagles is a toss-up, and they're not going to beat I don't think they're beating the Giants at the Giants. The Giants are going to be
Week
fired up
17.
for that game because they have a chance to clinch the division.
Hey, but look, we can look at the same thing with Washington. Washington is at the Steelers, at the Niners, which is in Arizona, and then versus Seattle. Washington realistically is 4-10 there going into the last 2 games of the year.
Then Panthers and Eagles. My pick to win the NFC East is the New York Football Giants.
Okay.
At probably 5-11, probably maybe 6-10. They go to Seattle. They're gonna get obliterated.
Okay, so that's 4-8.
Host the Cardinals. Oh goodness,
4-9.
their schedule's hard.
4-9, 4-10, 4-11.
Hosting they might beat the Browns. I don't believe in the
Think
Browns.
so.
They might beat the Browns. I'm gonna give them a win there. Then at the Ravens is a loss, and then hosting the Cowboys a win. They're gonna win one. They're either gonna be 5-11 or 10 or 6-10. They're going to win the.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna win at least one more game. And as sad as that sounds, they're gonna win one more game and win the division. But look, I can see this happening. Both the Giants and the Redskins are 4-10 or 4-11 heading into the last week of the season, and the Redskins or the Washington has to get a win over
Washington
Philly.
football team, Alberto.
Excuse me. The football team has to get a win over Philly, and the Giants have to get a win over Dallas.
I don't know which one's easier. I don't know which one's easier. I can 100% see that, though. I can 100% see that. And
oh man,
whoever now the real question is, who has a better chance of winning a playoff game? Of those 4 teams, who has the best chance?
Oh, the Giants.
You think the Giants?
The Giants for sure. So let's see. Hold on.
Washington. I think Washington has the best chance. Their front 7 is very good. With Sweat and Young, their front 7 is very good. Alex Smith has been there before. McLaurin is a top 10 wide receiver.
No, I agree with you.
Gibson and McKissick are good. Gibson is very good. I know it was against the Cowboys, but Gibson is still very good. The defense as a whole isn't bad. They have pieces. They're just not good pieces, but they have pieces.
You're right. So if the Giants were to get at the 4, or let's look at it right now, as the current rankings stand, the Giants would be playing the Rams, the 4 or 5 matchup. Rams would have to travel to the Giants.
The Rams would beat the Giants. The Rams, I think the Rams would win both games, but I think the football team gives them more of a fight.
I would have to agree with you now that you laid it out. I honestly think Washington could win that game.
I think so. Washington will be able to beat possibly the Rams, possibly the Cardinals, definitely not Tampa.
No.
Definitely not Green Bay, probably not Seattle, probably not New Orleans. If Minnesota sneaks in, they'd have to get up to the 5, though. I don't see that happening.
That's not going to happen.
But if by some slim chance Minnesota gets to the 5, they could beat them.
True.
But I think their best shot's the Rams. If you're an
their
NFC
best shot is the Rams.
club, you're rooting for the St. Louis Rams to get that 5 seed.
Not win too much, not lose too much.
Goff is shaky at best. He has his games. The defense is really good, but, I mean, you've seen them be shaky at times too. So, I mean, I think your best bet, especially as a fan of the Washington football team, if you exist anywhere, is to get the Rams as the 5. Take care of your own business. Get the Rams as the 5. you can play a 10-3 game. Go win 10-3.
Simple.
Go win 10-9. Go win 13-10. Then you
And
can
go play New Orleans.
Then you could go down to New Orleans, up to Seattle, up to Green Bay, and get absolutely murdered. But that's okay.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean a win's a win.
A win is a win. Let's close it out tonight by going with our top 5 or top 10. What do you want to do for NFL power rankings?
Let's do top 6.
Let's
do top 6.
All right, odd
top
number.
6.
All right. So you could start off. Who is your number 6?
I got Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo is number 6.
I got Buffalo, and I left out Indianapolis, Baltimore, and Seattle. I got Buffalo at 6. Who do you got at 6?
I'm going to have to put the Colts at 6.
Okay.
I've got the Colts at 6. Like I said, they're still a solid team, good defense. I don't trust Philip in the playoffs, but they're very good. Okay, who's your 5?
Okay. I got New Orleans.
New Orleans? Okay.
I got New Orleans, yeah.
New Orleans at 5. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans at my 5.
Ooh, okay.
Just because they beat the Colts is why they're at 5 there.
Head-to-head right there.
Okay, so who is your 4?
I got Green Bay at 4.
Green Bay at 4. Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. I've got the Buffalo Bills at 4.
Oh, really? You think that highly of them?
Their defense went from here to here the last 2 weeks.
No,
they went from down here. This is where they were right to start 2020. This is where they were in 2019 up here. They're now right there with their defense now. 2019 Bills defense, 2020 Bills defense. Right below right now. The way they're playing the last few games. That's why they're 4 for me.
As
Also,
of right
Allen
now.
Allen has looked better. He overcame his little midseason woes. He's still overthrowing some guys, but I trust him more now than I have ever. So, all right, who's your number 3?
Okay.
Who's your number 3?
I got Tennessee.
Tennessee's 3?
I got
all
Tennessee,
right.
yeah.
I got the Packers at 3.
Okay, so I got Packers at 4. You got Packers at 3.
If the Packers' run defense was better, they would have a shot at cracking the top 2.
Oh, for sure.
But
there's still yeah.
All right,
okay.
Number 2 for you.
I got the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, no, you don't. All right.
Oh, yes, I do.
The Chiefs at 2. So recap real quick. Do 1 through 6 for you, Alberto.
Okay, so I got Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Tennessee.
Wait, I thought you had Kansas City. Hold on, I thought you had Kansas City.
Excuse me. Kansas City 1, Pittsburgh 2.
Okay.
Tennessee, so AFC top 3. And then I got Green Bay, New Orleans, Buffalo, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, I've got Pittsburgh 1, Kansas City 2, Green Bay 3, Buffalo 4, Titans and Colts 5 and 6. Just off my list in no order are New Orleans, Seattle, Cleveland, and the Dolphins.
You're not throwing Baltimore in there?
Those would probably round out my top 10.
Okay. No, we have. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, they can go to the AFC Championship game if they put it together for a couple.
They
weeks.
could.
As you rock the Steelers shirt.
They could. I don't know, but they could.
340. 340 tomorrow.
Terrible. That's all the time we have.
I want to watch my Rockefeller Christmas special, man.
Shut up, please. Shut up. There's no people at it. Just record it and put it out the next day. It's not that hard. It's really not.
I want to see some ice skating. I want to see Mariah Carey.
I think you're the only person who's ever said that.
No, give me the AFC North rivalry tomorrow at 3:40. I'm interested in watching that. I'm really excited.
There's gonna be some weird shadows if the sun's out too. 3:40 is a weird start time.
Definitely. So, I mean, it's basically a 4:00, start time on a Sunday.
Basically. All right, that's all the time we got for tonight. New video out on Friday is the plan. We'll go over this week's NFL action, maybe some college action. Give you some bets, all the good stuff. Look at the divisions. Who knows? Maybe we'll have revised power rankings by then. Who knows what's going to happen?
We'll
Thanks
see.
for watching Cal and Seitz. Have a good night.